सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। I'll chant the Mangalacharan. वासुदेवेन्द्र योगेन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते। वस्तु संग्रह वाक्य। साधन चतुष्टय संपन्ना अधिकारिणां मोक्ष साधन भूतं तत्व विवेक प्रकारं वक्ष्यामः। So we are looking into Tattva Vivek, which Acharya has said is Atma Satyam Tadanyat Sarvam Mithyeti. So then he goes on to define what is Atma. He says it is not the gross body, it is not the subtle body, and it is not the causal body. What is the gross body? We have seen. What is the subtle body? We are seeing. So it consists of 17 items. 5 of them are the karmendriyani, organs of sense perception, and 5 are organs of action, which we are seeing today. And then he will discuss the other 7 items, 5 organs of sense perception and 5 organs of action. He is discussing now, that is 10 items. The remaining 7 he will discuss later, and thereafter he will jump to what is causal body. So that we hope to finish today. So I had read the verse. I'll start from where Guruji starts explaining it. Also, we have seen 2 ways. Hari Om Anilji.
Hari Om साहिब में काम के टाइम का मुझे पता ही नहीं चला.
No problem ji. Hari Om Meera. So we have seen 2 ways in which we have said why what we are studying is not Atma. One of them is that if it changes, and the other thing is if it can be known by us. So anything that is known by us is not us. The knower is different from the known. So the gross body is ever changing, it is born and it dies, etc. It is not us, it is not the Atma. And similarly, we have done the 5 organs of sense perception. They are known to us and they are also changing. So they are also not the Atma. And now today we are doing the organs of action. Any questions from whatever we have done so far? Okay. So what Anilji was saying, these are relatively simple things. So which I understood meant that we can skip reading. But I find that there are some things that come up which are good to know. Let's just put it like that. So I'll do a hurried reading, and in case something is not clear, please stop me. Is that okay, Anilji?
Well,
So the 5 organs of action are speech, hands, legs, anus, and the genitals. The presiding deities of the organs of action are Agni of the speech, Indra of the hands, Vishnu of the legs, Yama of the anus, and Prajapati of the genitals. The function of speech is to speak, that of hands is to grasp things, of the legs is locomotion, of anus is the elimination of waste, and of the genitals is pleasure, procreation. The 5 organs of action are the capacity to speak, located in the vocal cords and the tongue, to grasp things, located in the hands, of locomotion, located in the legs, to excrete located in the anus, and to procreate located in the genitals. The body responds to external stimuli through them. They are prompted by the mind into action. They develop from childhood, attain their full strength, and then weaken with age. That itself shows that they are changing and negated, and therefore they cannot be Atma. Each of them carries out its respective function. In rare cases, the other organs of action try to do the functions of the impaired organs. For example, some learn to write with the toes of their feet when the hands are amputated. The tongue has a unique place, as it is both an organ of action, eating and speaking, and of perception, tasting. Fire is the deity of speech, which is well understood by expressions such as fiery speech or heated discussion. Heat is generated when one speaks. Indra, the king of the deities, is responsible for the functioning of the hands. The forelegs of animals have evolved to become our hands. All art is possible due to the unique capacity of our fingers. Vishnu, the one with long strides, is the deity of the legs. Mrityu, death, presides over the anus. Man is known to eliminate waste from the various orifices at death. Prajapati, the creator, is in charge of procreation. The pleasure in the act of reproduction ensures the continuity of the species. So, any questions what we have read? A question came to my mind: why are the organs of action clubbed under subtle body? The difference between the gross body and the subtle body is that the gross body can be seen, is perceived by the five senses. Subtle body is not seen or perceived by the five senses. So why is the organs of action clubbed under the subtle body which are not seen?
Arunji, this is true for Gyanendriya also.
Haji, it is true for
Eyes
Gyanendriya.
are also visible.
Absolutely.
Eyes are also visible.
Absolutely. So that question is equally valid for Gyanendriya as well as Karmendriya. So my question that came to my mind was, then why are they called subtle body?
Because it is not the organ per se.
Yeah,
When one is dead, the organ is there.
yeah.
It is the capacity. So whether we call it nerves or the capacity, या जो वो देवता है, तो वो subtle है, वो दिखाई नहीं देता है.
Right.
That capacity.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Anilji. So you have to, all others who are listening, kindly be alert, and these questions should come to your mind. So you see the table over there in the book. There is a table on organs of perception, page 48, where the name of the organ is written. So what does it say? Ability to hear in the ears. So ear may be the part of the gross body, but it's the ability to hear which forms the subtle body. So all the organs of perception are the ability to feel, to see, to taste, to smell. They are all the abilities, which is what Anilji just explained. And on page 50 is the table for organs of action. Here the name of the organ is given capacity to speak. It is located in the tongue. So tongue is seen, but the capacity is not seen. But we use it to taste and speak, etc. Right? So all these things are subtle and cannot be seen. So is that, and then we have also seen that they all they gain strength and then they fade out, or we know that they are ours, we know that, and therefore they are different and they are not the Atma. So if there are no more questions, I'll go to the subtle causal body. Is it okay? Now causal body, you will find, and you have to be very alert, there are a lot of principles involved in this. First and foremost, which I said, that since they are all subtle bodies, they are not seen, so what the Shastras say we have to believe. But what Guruji Swami Tejomayananda ji has done in the book is, he's tried to explain a few things that may come to us naturally, some questions. That is the only idea of explaining these verses. So I'm reading out, and as I read, if there's a question, please do raise your hand. Causal body, Karan Shariram Kim, Anirvachya, Anadya, Avidya Rupam, Sharir Dvayasya, Karana Matram, Sat Swarup Agyanam, Nirvikalpa Rupam, Yad Asti Tat Karan Shariram. So what does it mean? First thing, Anirvachya, that which is inexplicable. Anirvachya means that which cannot be explained. Anadya, which means Anadi, which has no beginning. We are talking about the causal body. So it is inexplicable, it is beginningless, it is avidya rupam, in the form of ignorance. Sharir dvayasya, the sole cause of the two bodies. Which two bodies? Gross and subtle, that we have read just now. Karan matram, Sharir dvayasya karan matram. Karan matram, it's a cause. Sat Swarup Agyanam, it is ignorant of one's own nature. Sat Swarup, your Swarup is Sat, that is your nature. Agyanam, it is unaware of that. Then Nirvikalpa Rupam, it is, what is Vikalp? Vikalp is, you have options. Nirvikalp is that which is optionless, and therefore it doesn't change, it is homogeneous. Unchanging, homogeneous, free from any duality. If there is a duality, it is changing, hot and cold, and so forth. And Yad Asti Tat Karan Shariram, that which is like this, with these qualities, is the Karan Sharir. Okay? Any question? So I am going to read from the next. Sorry?
What is the causal body?
What is the causal body? Okay. So, a very first word says Anirvachya. Anirvachya means it cannot be explained. So, if you ask me what it is, I can't explain it. It has already been said. Now, therefore I am saying, I warned in the beginning, because these are very subtle things. You can't see them, you can't talk about them, you can't put them into words. So just hold your question till the end of this explanation. A lot of things will be said to answer your question, in an attempt to answer your question, but the question will still remain, you have to grasp it. So when he is explaining, then you raise some question if that is not clear. So I am reading. The causal body is the subtlest of the three bodies and pervades the other two. You are on the same page as me? Can you read it? The causal body, this is page 51. The causal body is the subtlest of the three bodies and pervades the other two. So earlier we had said this subtle body pervades the gross body. Now we are saying the causal body pervades the other two, which is the gross body and the subtle body. Okay? He is explaining what is avidya rupam. It is of the nature of ignorance. Ignorance has no shape, size or quality. It is always related to an object. For example, ignorance of computers. But by itself it is objectless. I am the locus of ignorance. Who is this I?
Atma.
Huh?
Atma.
Yeah, Atma, who is mistaking itself to be the body, mind, intellect. So I am the locus of ignorance. All this resides in me. Ignorance cannot exist without me. Since ignorance resides in me, so if I am not there, ignorance will not exist. Is this logic clear? I exist, therefore I can be ignorant. These are very powerful things, so you have to digest them. That's very important. I exist, therefore I can be ignorant. Is it clear? अनिल जी?
Of course, जैसे ये चश्मा है, तो हो सकता है मुझे ये दिखाई नहीं दे. अगर चश्मा है ही नहीं, तो मैं कैसे इग्नोर हो सकता? How can I be ignorant of it? जैसे फिजिक्स एरोप्लेन है, I can say कि मेरे को एरोप्लेन का पता नहीं है. अगर एरोप्लेन है ही नहीं, उसकी नॉलेज ना होने का तो सवाल ही नहीं उठता है ना. अज्ञान तो उसी का होगा जिसका है,
जो चीज है.
उसी का ज्ञान हो सकता है.
हाँ, ये तो हुई बात है कि that thing exists, but here the question.
I exist, इसका ये हुआ, I exist, therefore I can be ignorant.
हाँ.
क्योंकि ये चीज है, इसलिए ignorance हो सकता है.
नहीं, ये चीज नहीं. I exist. I means.
मैं इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कह रहा था कि अगर जस्ट फिजिक्स है सब्जेक्ट, then I can be ignorant of physics. तो किसी भी चीज की, और यही चीज आत्मा के लिए भी ट्रू है, कि ignorance is always in the context of an existence. If something exists, then you can either know it or you may not know it. If something doesn't exist, उसकी ignorance का तो सवाल ही नहीं है ना. Logically. So what is true of Atma is true of all ignorance. जो जैसे आगे इन्होंने कहा भी है कि for example ignorance of computers, it is always related to an object. Ignorance has no shape, size or quality. It is always related to an object. So what is true of an object is also true of the subject. कि मैं चूंकि हूँ, I can be ignorant of myself. I can forget myself. That is how I understand.
What is true of the object is true of the subject. This
is true of the subject क्योंकि existence है इसलिए ignorance हो सकता है.
एक मिनट, just a minute. What is true of the object is true of the subject. Now, just a minute, Anil ji, we'll have to be very slow about this. The object is changing. Is the subject changing?
No.
Then that statement is not valid. What is true of the object is true of the subject. This statement is not valid.
I was saying only in the context of ignorance.
No, we have to, when you use a sentence in logic, it has to be always valid. So we will talk of some other logic, but not this logic that what is true of the object is true of the subject. This will drop.
Okay.
Because it's not true. For the simple reason.
It is not true in the context of change.
Right.
Objects change and subject doesn't change.
Yeah. So we'll not go into each and everything. We'll not go into each and every characteristic of the object and subject, because एक तो हमारी ignorance ही वैसे ही बहुत है. But the fact that a statement does not hold true in at least one case, that so therefore it should not be used. So we'll use that statement which holds for in every case. So out here, what Guruji has said is, I exist. I means Atma exists. Therefore I can be ignorant. This is very important. You must understand this properly, because this is our, I told you, you can't see these things. They are subtle. So these are pointers. You are talking of ignorance. Right? Ignorance itself is anirvachaniya. You can't see it. So now question is, where does it reside? Natural question, na? Where does this ignorance reside? What is its root? What is its color? Everything. So he says that ignorance has no shape, size or quality, but it exists. Where can it exist? I am aware of it. I know I am ignorant, therefore it must exist in me only. And then he says, I exist, therefore I can be ignorant. If I didn't exist, if I myself did not exist, then where is the question of being ignorant or not ignorant? So I exist. The fact that I know I am ignorant implies I exist. हम आत्मा की बात कर रहे हैं ना. थोड़ा is everybody with me or not? How to know Atma? Even the fact that I am ignorant means Atma exists. Ignorance cannot exist without me. Anilji, is it different from what you were saying?
No, I think I also meant the same.
Huh. Okay. So
the choice of words was not like.
Guruji is using different set of words to illustrate that the fact that ignorance exists points to the fact that Atma is there. I exist. Because I am ignorant. Okay? Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Now, Anirvachya means it is inexplicable. Now he is trying to explain that. Since it has no shape, size or quality, it cannot be described by words or grasped by the mind. This is all to answer your question, Ira. What is the causal body? Ignorance is the causal body. Ignorance implies lack of knowledge. It does not actually have any existence. Yet it cannot be.
Haji. Sorry, मैं interrupt कर रहा हूँ. It cannot be described by words or grasped by the mind. तो अभी ignorance को जब आप कह रहे हैं it is understood, तो mind ही तो समझेगा ना ignorance. और यहाँ पे गुरुजी कह रहे हैं कि it cannot be described by words or grasped by mind. तो मेरे को तो लग रहा है कि mind समझ रहा है कि what is ignorance. कैसे समझ रहा है जो इसी में दिया है कि it is the cause of, उसको डिस्क्राइब नहीं कर सकते हैं बट अंडरस्टैंड कर सकते हैं, ग्रास्प कर सकते हैं. और ग्रास्प कौन कर रहा है? माइंड ही कर रहा है.
माइंड कर रहा है, लेकिन माइंड को प्रकाशित कौन कर रहा है?
हाँ, तो माइंड जड़ चीज है, बट यहाँ पे गुरुजी कह रहे हैं कि इट कैनॉट बी ग्रास्प बाय माइंड.
यहाँ पर वो कह रहे हैं इट कैनॉट बी ग्रास्प बाय माइंड. पहले वो कह के आए हैं आई एम द लोकस ऑफ इग्नोरेंस. तो वो वहाँ पे वो कहा है. अभी तीन बातें कहेंगे. एक तो ये कही इन्होंने इट कैनॉट बी डिस्क्राइब बाय वर्ड्स और ग्रास्प बाय द माइंड. ठीक है. देन इट्स हीज,
मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि माय माइंड इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग इट, इट इज ग्रास्पिंग व्हाट इज इग्नोरेंस.
हाँ. सो you are saying that the mind understands ignorance. So what does it mean?
What does it mean means?
When you say that mind understands ignorance,
it is जो जैसे जो भगवान ही कह रहे हैं कि उसको वर्ड्स में बताना बड़ा मुश्किल है.
हाँ.
That is the cause of the, क्योंकि अगर वो ignorance नहीं हो, then संसार खत्म हो जाता है. ये सारा जो माइंड है और स्थूल शरीर है, all of this I would say जैसे आदमी जगता है और ये सपना खत्म हो जाता है, तो जो मैंने इंडिविजुअल वर्ल्ड बनाया हुआ है वो डिसअपियर हो जाएगा. ये बॉडी अपनी सिग्निफिकेंस लूज कर देगी. और समाधि में तो इवन one would not look at the way one is looking at it in a waking state.
So
तो जो आप कह रहे हैं कि इग्नोरेंस क्या है, मैं कह रहा हूँ वही. माय माइंड इज ग्रास्पिंग दैट इट cannot be described in words. It can be indicated the way Bhagwan is saying. And this is the cause of the two bodies. So this is one way of understanding. अगर ignorance खत्म हो जाए तो जो मेरे माइंड में अभी जो चीजें सच लगती हैं और जिस तरीके से वो है, वो सब they would drastically change.
Absolutely.
So that way, that is how I am understanding कि ये दोनों body का cause है ये.
बिल्कुल, that is you understood it correctly. Absolutely.
तो understood में वही है कि मुझे जो गुरुजी की ये बात लगती है कि grasp by mind. तो mind can understand in this way only, not by describing in words, but through indications जो जैसा शास्त्रों ने दिया है.
जो भी हम पढ़ रहे हैं, who's grasping it?
अगर हम वैसे करेंगे, जड़ वाली बात अगर आप कर रहे हैं कि माइंड जड़ है, फिर तो चैतन्य ही है.
नहीं, मैं उस वाली बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. बड़ी मोटी सी बात कर रहा हूँ. जो हम पढ़ भी रहे हैं वो भी माइंड और इंटेलेक्ट ही ग्रास्प कर रहा है ना जी. सो टू दैट एक्सटेंट माइंड इज ग्रास्पिंग. वेयर इट इज टेकिंग प्लेस, तो फिर वो जड़ और चेतन वाली बात आती है. वो अभी ने छुई नहीं, अभी संकेत करा है गुरुजी ने पहले, बट अभी हम इस पर अभी चर्चा नहीं करेंगे. अभी हम वही इतना ही करते हैं जितना वो बता रहे हैं. इग्नोरेंस इम्प्लाइज लैक ऑफ नॉलेज. इट डज नॉट एक्चुअली हैव एनी एग्जिस्टेंस. इम्पॉर्टेंट. ignorance does not have any existence, yet it cannot be said to be non-existent. देखिए अब आप हीरा, ये जो है ना बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग चीज़ें आ गई हैं. अब आप थोड़ा सा you have to ask questions, at least note them. We'll discuss them after this. It does not actually have existence, yet it cannot be said to be non-existent. We experience its effects. It manifests as the gross and the subtle bodies, and we also experience sorrow caused by ignorance. ठीक है. Third thing, being nothing, it still does a great deal. Hence, it is an inexplicable power. अब आप ये तीन चीज़ें दी हैं इन्होंने to explain why it is inexplicable. First, he says it has no shape, size, etc. Secondly, it implies lack of knowledge, which is neither existent nor non-existent. And being nothing, it still has a great power, because all the sorrows, the cause of it is that ignorance. ठीक है. Now the word anadi. Anadi means that which has no beginning. Ignorance is beginningless. If we say that ignorance began at a particular time, then there should have been either a void or knowledge before that. You have to be very sharp to understand these things. Why I am saying sharp to understand these things? If you question, then the answer will make these things totally clear. So be sharp and alert. I told you in the beginning, we are entering a very difficult portion. Ignorance is beginningless. If we say that ignorance began at a particular time, then there should have been either a void or knowledge before that. But ignorance cannot emerge from nothing or from knowledge. Can anything emerge from nothing? Nothing can come out of nothing. And ignorance cannot come out of knowledge, then it will not remain ignorance. So I am saying very, very powerful logic to understand all these things. Therefore, neither void nor knowledge can precede ignorance. Therefore, ignorance is beginningless. You see, the whole of Vedanta is like this. It says something, you find it difficult to digest, then the commentator explains whys and hows. And that is where you need to be very alert and questioning. So now we'll do the remaining part tomorrow, but any question that comes to you from what we have read now, till now?
I had one question about the sorrow part.
Sorry, yeah, tell me what is that?
How does ignorance give you sorrow?
Oh, so we started with the objective of our study, whatever text we study in Vedanta, it is to cause cessation of sorrow and to give infinite happiness. Atyantik dukh nivritti and anand prapti, what is that word? परमानंद प्राप्त आनंद प्राप्ति. ठीक है, परम आनंद प्राप्ति. हाँ, सॉरी, यू वर सेइंग समथिंग अनुजी?
I was saying
परमानंद प्राप्ति. Okay, so why is ignorance the cause of sorrow? So this is, I'll just answer this, though it will be answered subsequently. But if you see a rope and mistake it for a snake, what will happen?
be scared.
You will be scared, you will run away. That is all sorrow. What is the reason for that? You mistook a rope for a snake. So you are chasing. You are saying that your joy is in seeing a film, or your joy is eating food, some kind of food, right? So you are chasing those things, but does that give you permanent joy? In fact, when it ends and you are left with either craving or whatever, it may lead to some sorrow. Suppose you don't get that food again and you have a craving for it. So the sorrow is to be seen from that point of view. What you are chasing are not permanent, is not permanent joy. If the joy was in the objects, then an example that is given is, everybody would find joy in eating a rasgulla. But does everybody like a rasgulla? One. Number two, if you are given n number of rasgullas to eat, would each rasgulla seem as tasty as the previous one? So if the joy was in the rasgulla, that is what should happen. So the ignorance that the joy is in rasgulla and you keep chasing eating rasgulla is a cause of sorrow. The whole of Vedanta is like this only, right? But good, you are thinking, keep this alive. Any other question?
To what we say otherwise.
Sorry?
Normal, your normal English kind of phrase of ignorance is bliss is contrary to
that. And so is that fools Russian where angels fear to tread. So there are all those things. We can have a lot of discussion and debate.
जी, in my view, ignorance bliss इसलिए है क्योंकि वो निर्विकल्प है. सारा जो पेन है वो द्वंद की वजह से है.
So द्वंद भी तो
जैसे डीप स्लीप में इट इज, उसको भी आनंदमय कोश कहते हैं. डीप स्लीप में देयर इज पीस, देयर इज ब्लिस. क्योंकि वो as Bhagwan is also saying, कि निर्विकल्प है, without duality.
So what you are indicating is correct energy, but what Ira is saying is, I am saying it is a cause of sorrow, but she is saying that people say that it is bliss. आप ये क्यों कह रहे हो it is a cause of sorrow? That is where she is coming from. So what you are giving is a Vedantic explanation which will come to in due course. ये आनंदमय कोश कहलाता है. वो क्यों कहलाता है वो अभी टाइम से पता चलेगा. But it is a cause of sorrow, and that is why we need to remove it. The whole idea is that understand this, right? So I can do the concluding prayer. Good. Stay with your questions. Post them also. We can also think about them. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. May our path be lighted by the infinite, and may we be blessed to reach our destination. Hari Om. Thank you, everyone.